muting.
Alrighty. Okay.
Our voice is not going now.
No, they don't hear us.
Right. Welcome everybody. Welcome to CHTP, or rather BizKey Tech's Partner Platforms session tutorial number 4. As mentioned, this session is going to cover the warranty and return, or rather the part support request feature of this platform. We're gonna quickly delve into all the different sub features of this section, explain them, elaborate them, and also show them how it works and what kind of features are associated with it. And hopefully by the end of the session, we'll have a few minutes for quick QA session. But we're gonna see how far we can get and if we actually get to the Q&A session, but I'll make sure that we actually do end up having some time for answering some of your questions. Alrighty, so before further ado, this tutorial session is going to cover warranty and return. To access this feature in our panel, all you need to do is to log in to your partner platform using your credentials. And as soon as you enter this panel, you are going to see something similar to what I am seeing. On the sidebar of our partner panel, the second option, as you can see, is warranty and return. This is the feature that we're going to cover. It consists of 3 subsections: requests, status settings, and process settings. I'm just going to quickly explain what exactly how this feature would actually get connected to the subroutines or the processes of you guys, of different companies, operators, or partners, operators and their operations. The way that it works is that if any of the parts have defects, or they need to be returned, or for some reason the warranty needs to be invoked, we need to record them, we need to create requests for them, and we also need to be in contact with customers, or rather vendors, that the operators actually got these products from, in order to resolve the issue and to prevent it for future products. So first things first, if you go to the requests page or view of the warranty and return feature, you are going to be presented with this view. As per usual, this page consists of 2 different sections. The very first section on the top is the search section, and the section on the bottom is a table consisting of all the data associated with the existing part support requests or warranty and return requests. On the search section, there is a section for tabs. There are currently 3 tabs available: Our Requests, My Requests, and New Request. And as the name suggests, all these different tabs would filter the available or the shown part support requests with these criteria. The All Requests would show all of the available requests. The My Request only would show the warranty and return requests associated with this currently logged in operator, which would be you. And the New Requests would be requests that do not have an assigned operator to them for the resolving of the issue. Apart from that, we have a keywords input that would allow you to filter the results of part support requests using your provided keywords. And most likely it is going to filter based on all the available fields, or rather columns, of the available data. You can put in anything, and hopefully it will actually give you the your intended result. Apart from that, we have the status dropdown, and this would allow you to filter the shown requests based on the current status. And as you can see, there are currently 5 status defined in this system. Mind you that we are presenting it with our demo product, and the statuses that might be defined for your company or for your partner could be different from this. But we'll get to that on how to actually define them and manage them. And also, the very last filtering criteria for part support requests list is the type of the part support request, or the warranty and return. And as we know, we only have 2 types: return and warranty. And it will only filter the results based on whether they are a warranty request or a return request, respectively. Apart from that, if you want to add a warranty and return request, you can use the button provided in this view. I'm not going to click on it, but rather we're going to get into it very soon. And at the very bottom, you have a data grid, which you should already be familiar with, and the actual records with their associated data. You can export your data using this icon, as you already know, just to remind you guys. And apart from that, all of the part support requests have the following columns: the RGA, or rather the ID associated with the part support request, an icon for entering into the part support request details, an icon for printing the part support request, and a way for us to update the RGA of the request. I'm going to quickly go over these, and actually we'll get into doing them as well. I'm just going to summarize what's available. The operator associated with the part support request, the current status of the part support request, the customer associated with that part support request, the product used for that part support request, the serial number of the product, the reason for the change of status, if the status has been changed, the invoice associated with that part support request, the customer credit, the vendor credit, the type of the request, the warehouse code of the request, and this would only be filled when the request itself is an inventory-based request. And we're going to get into how we can actually do that, but that suffices to say that if a request is a inventory request, then a warehouse code will be filled out for it. The count of the products used in this part support request, and this would only be applicable when the product itself is not serializable. The specific user that actually initiated the part support request of that customer, and the submission date. We also have a note section, internal note section, and the more details of the rather vehicle that used this part, that now this part support request is created for. The make, the model, the year, the VIN number, the installed date, the failed date, installed mileage, and the failed mileage. These are the extra information related to the actual usage of the product. Okay, now we're going to actually create a part support request and go through the processes of creating one and see what sub-processes are associated with it. So as I said, if you want to create it, you can click on this Add New button. As soon as you click it, a dialog will open for you. This dialog consists of 4 different subsections: the define section, the lookup section, the part information section, and the documentation section. Define section would allow you to manipulate the actual purpose of this part support request and the RGA associated with it. So by default, the system would actually create RGAs for you automatically. But in the cases that you would like to have a specific RGA for this request that you want to create, you can check this manual RGA, and input will appear for you and would allow you to actually enter your requested RGA. For now, I'm not going to create a manual. I'm going to let the system create it for us. Apart from that, by default, all of the part support requests are customer-based requests. The one that an actual customer has purchased the product, and now they want to actually return it or invoke the warranty for. And the way for us to do that is to actually select a customer that we want. And I'm going to select a customer called Brother Mifflin. That is defined in our system. In the case that you do not want to create a customer-based request, as I said, by default, you can actually check the select from inventory checkbox. And what it would do is that it would turn that request into an inventory-based request. And this way would allow you that instead of choosing a customer, now you can choose the warehouse that the product is currently in. Which for now, we have 2 different warehouses defined in this partner, the default warehouse and the main warehouse. I'm going to stick to the customer-based request. And mind you that the process for these 2 different rather purposes of part support request is exactly the same. It's only the case that one has a customer associated with it, the other has a warehouse associated with it. And after selecting these defined parameters, you can either select a warranty or select a return. I'm going to go back, select a warranty or select a return. You can choose the type and continue. After that, we go to the lookup section. The lookup section is a way for you to select the actual product that you want to invoke the warranty or return it. This section consists of 2 different inputs. One input is for the parts or the product, the other is for the serial number. If you know the serial number of the product that you intend to invoke to create the request for, you can go ahead and enter it here. If you do not know the serial number and you only know partial information about the product, you can search for it in our system. And the way that it works is that first you have to provide the part number. For example, I'm going to provide a part number TV001. I can select it and continue. Mind you that in some cases, if you do not want to fill in any other information for creation of the request, you can click on this button, add without further information. So I'm not going to click on it. We're going to cover the further information, but it suffices to say that if you do not want to continue this process and you want to just create the parsable request, you can click on this button. Right, now I've selected my parts. And if I click next, I'm still in the lookup section. And now what we can see is that for that specific part and for that specific customer that we've selected, now we're going to see all the available invoices and the products that this customer has already purchased. And we can select which exact serial number we would like to associate with this part support request. In some cases that the product itself is not serializable, we would have to actually go through the channel of selecting a part. But the difference would be here, that instead of seeing serial numbers and selecting them, you are given an opportunity to select the quantity of that product for a specific invoice. For now, I'm going to click on this available serial number associated with this invoice number and continue. And we already, oh yeah, in some cases, if for a specific for a specific product purchased in an invoice, we already do have an existing part support request. After we actually want to create another one for it, we get an error that says that this selected product already has an associated part support request. So I'm going to select another one, and hopefully this one doesn't happen. Right. After we do that, we go to the next section, the part information section. This section would give us a very brief overview of the product that actually this part support request was created for. And at the very bottom section of it, we can see the extra fees associated with this part support request. And what that happens is that we will later on cover this extra fees section in detail. But for now, all you need to know is that the extra fees section is, as you know, it's just like the extra fees that need to be covered if this product is returned or the warranty is involved, right? If I click next, the part information is done, and now we get to the documentation section of creating a part support request. And as you can see at the very top of this section, you can see the information of that created part support request. And all we need to know is now we need to provide evidences or some templates that are defined in the system that are required or sometimes optional for the customer to provide in order for the part support request to be actually initiated. So for now, for this specific product, we do have a template that says the image of the center if applicable. And as you can see, this product, it is not required. If the template is required, you're going to see an asterisk followed by a required keyword in the title. Each of the different templates have their own file format, which are presented here. For example, this file has these 4 or 5 accepted file formats, which are generally images. So I'm just going to select an image. I'm going to select our own logo name, and I'm going to upload it so we can proceed with the creation. And I'm just going to click next. And what that did for us is that now we do have a new record for that created part support request. Sometimes after the creation of a part support request, before submitting the documentations, you close the dialog and you don't provide the actual evidences. What we've done in our system is that if you do that, you are still able to provide the documentations later or fill out the templates later. And how it works is that I go all the way to the documentation phase, and then I just close the dialog. And when the record is added to the list, all I can do is that I need to look for this phrase, requires documents, in the operator section. And if I want to navigate to that participle request, instead, it just opens up the documentation dialog for me and allows me to actually submit these documentations. If the documentation is submitted successfully, now the operator column of that participle request is turned into a button, and that button suggests that you can accept this participle request as one of your requests for you to be responsible for resolving this issue. I'm going to quickly accept it. So now it is assigned to me, and that's as far as it goes for creating a participle request. Now let's delve a little deeper into how we can manipulate or update this participle request. As I mentioned, we could update the RGA if we would like to. For example, I need to change the 61 RGA to a 62 RGA, and it would happen appropriately. Then if I want to change the status of a participle request, all I need to do is to find the status column, click on the edit button, and select a new status. All I need to do is to select a new one. And if I also want, I should be able to see the reasons for that change of status. For example, for the status of delayed due to further investigation, I need to change. I can select either missing key evidence files or missing final invoice. I'm just going to click on missing key evidence files and change it. Now the status is changed. I'm going to quickly get it back to in the process for now. But that's how you can change the status of a participle. So you can view the part. You can click on it to see the product information. It is in this page. We're not going to do that though. Next up, since this is a customer-based participle request, we can also connect a customer credit to it. For example, if an invoice is turned into a credit and that credit needs to be actually connected to this participle request, you can do that. All you need to do is you need to click on the connect. A dialog will open for you that would list all the available credits of that customer, and you can select the appropriate one for it. In this platform, we do not have any credits, and that's why you won't be able to see any records, but it suffices to say that these are the available information of each credit. We have the credit number, we have the date, we have the PO number, and the total value of the credit. Then we have the vendor section for this participle request. And the way that it works is that if you want to assign a vendor for this participle request, all you need to do is you need to click on the connect button. What it does for you is that it will open up a dialog, and this dialog would be consisting of two different sections. One is the suggested vendors section, the other is search for vendors section. And what it does is that sometimes, based on the provided information of the participle request, our system may suggest a specific vendor for you to choose from. And in the cases that we do not suggest anything, you can always search for all the available vendors of the system and select the appropriate one if you would like. For example, this vendor with the vendor code of a bunch of zeros followed up by a 1 and the vendor name of China can be selected for this participle request. And you can see it here. Same thing as customer credit, you can also assign vendor credits if you would like to this participle request. Apart from that, if you would like to leave a note for this participle request, you can click on the create button here of the note section, and a dialog would open up for you with two different fields of a note section and of a note input and an internal note input. A note is a public note, and an internal note is a private note that would only the operators of this panel would be able to see. For example, I'm just going to create a test note here on a note, and I'm going to save it. And as you can see, it is created here. And I'm going to also put an internal note of test. One thing that you may need, notice is that whether I click on this button for the note or this button for the internal note, it will open up the same dialog, and it will allow you to actually enter the notes and internal notes simultaneously together if you would like to. Alrighty, and then it's followed up with the vehicle information, or rather how the part is used. Okay, one other thing for each participle request is that we could print them. If we want to do that, all we need to do is to click on the print icon associated with this row, and a new page would be open up for us, and the printed form would be actually created of that RGA, which you can see the information for yourself. Okay, going back to the part support request. Now I can actually go on and review the details of that part support request. By clicking on the navigation button, now I'm navigated to the details of this part support request. This page consists of a series of action buttons that are located at the top right corner of this page, and two tabs in the top left section of this page. We have a customer tab and a vendor tab. I'm gonna leave the action buttons for the very last, and first I'm gonna explain the differences between these two tabs and their applicabilities of them. By default, if this page is open, the customer tab is selected for us, and what we can see is, first off, the information or the row of that part support request with the same functionalities as we saw in the list. Then it's also followed up with a chat section, which it would allow you to chat with the customer and hopefully to resolve the issue. In this chat section, you can type in messages. If you reply a message, select it. You can also upload files if you would like to. For example, I'm gonna upload another image. Okay, let's do this one. And an image is uploaded. And retrospectively, you can also see the messages that the customers have sent you and actually communicate with them. Of the vendor part, it is very similar to the customer section with a single difference. In the vendor tab, the information header of the chat section also contains the vendor information, the vendor credit and the vendor itself. And same thing as before, you can also chat with that vendor and allow the vendor to actually respond back and communicate with them with regards to this part support request. The way that a customer can chat with an operator is through the CHTPs or that specific partner's application. So that if customers have installed their application on their devices, they can just use that application, go to the warranty and support their submitted warranty and returns requests, and actually start chatting with the operators. For the vendor side, however, in order for us to do that, we need to first click on the edit icon on the vendor column. Then a popover would appear for us. We could either remove the vendor or we could view the information. We are more interested in viewing the information of this vendor. If we click on it, a dialog would appear that would summarize the information of that vendor, the name, phone, and email. And there's also a shareable link of that vendor. You can copy it if you would like to. You can change that link. You can also open that link in a new tab. I'm going to go ahead, copy it, and just open it in a new tab. And what it would do for us is that it opens our vendor platform, which currently only consists of this single page, and it allows the vendor to also chat with you, the assigned operator. It has the very same layout and the functionality that you could see on the partner platform here. So yet again, if we want to allow vendors to chat with us, all we need to do is to click on this edit icon, click on the view information, and in the created dialog, copy the link and send it to that specific vendor. All right. Now that we've explained the customer tab and the vendor tab and how the chatting works and the mechanism for it, now we can actually talk about these action buttons. I'm going to start from the very right and go to the left. At the very right, we have the remove button, which will allow us to actually completely remove this warranty and return request record from our system. We have the edit button, which would allow us to edit this part support request information in a limited way. So if we click on that, a dialog would appear for us, consisting of, yet again, 4 different subsections: the basic info, the product info, the review, and the documentation. The basic info would list or show all the existing information of that portable request with regards to the current company or the current customer, which shows the customer and the user, the request type, the RGA, and it would allow you to only change the type of the request or the RGA of the request. If you do not want to change anything, you can just continue without any changes. But as soon as you change something, it is, 60 already exists. Let's just go to second. We can continue. 61. I'll continue without any changes. Go to the next section. This product info section, as the name suggests, would provide you the details of the current product and would also allow you to select a new product for this specific part of the request. Same thing as before, you can search for your specific part that you have in mind, for example, the part number, like iPhone 14 Pro or any of the similar ones, or you can also put in the serial number. For example, if I put in something like this, it just suggests that this would be treated as a serial number, and if you want to select it or not. And the same process of creating a portable request would be associated with this as well. We would be able to see all the existing invoices for that specific customer of this part and select the new serial number or that specific instance of the part for this portable request. And if you don't want to, we can also continue this without any changes. And at the very end, on the review section, we can see all the previous record information, and the new record information. If there has been no change, you can see that everything is the same. But in the cases that something has changed, for example, I go back to the basic info and I change the request type to the return. And as I continue, I can see that now it is an indicative with colors that the type, for example, has changed. If the customer was changed, you can see the customer row to be affected like this. So with color coding it, we've made it a little easier for you guys to notice the differences between the new and the old. If there has been a difference, we need to update the request by clicking on this. But in the case that there was no difference, if you get to the review section, you can just click on that. And in the case where a change has been made, specifically with regards to the product, you may need to fill in a new documentation, a new series of documentations or templates for that new product, which you already know how to do. We also have the print icon, same functionality as the other icon that we saw on the list. We have the additional info section, and this section would allow us to actually change the information, the vehicle information of this product: the make, the model, the year, the VIN number, install date, fail date, install mileage, and failed mileage. So if I click on that, you can see a dialog opening up, having inputs for all these different fields, and it would allow you to actually save it. For example, I'm going to create a BMW associated a BMW. Do we have M series here? No, X3 is good. For example, a year 2002, and I'm just going to say. And what it does is just updates these for you, and you can update them whenever you would like using this action button and the dialog associated. Next up, we have the driver form. The driver form would allow you to actually do a driver checklist after the driver has brought back the product. I think it's used mostly for return products, but nevertheless, this is the way that for you to do it. You can select the driver in our system that actually delivered that product. I don't think that for now we have any drivers. We're going to get into how we can actually create drivers and manage the information. But it suffices to say that you need to select a driver, and you can then proceed with filling up this information and save that driver form information. And lastly, we have the extra info links management section. If you click on that, a link would be created here. Also, an advanced section would be created here that would allow you to set an expiration date for this link. And what this link does is that it by opening it, it would allow customers, we're going to get into that. It would allow customers to actually view the detailed or the extra information, additional information of that product associated with this partial request, and it will allow them to fill it for you instead of you filling it yourself. Alrighty, and these are all the different ways that you can manage a single request so far. Next up, we are going to go back to the request list, and we're going to actually delve or dive into the processes that that are available to us as operators to define and manage the templates of parsable requests, the extra fees, the expiration dates for applicability of parsable requests, and the statuses of parsable requests. I'm going to first click on the status settings. This section or this view would allow us to define new statuses, like view existing statuses, edit existing statuses, and also view and manage the reasons for each existing status. In order to view an existing statuses, all you need to do is to look at all these different cards that are indicative of the statuses themselves. If you want to look into the reasons of that status, all you need to do is you need to click on these toggle buttons, and then you are presented with the reasons, with the codes of that specific of that specific status. I'm going to go ahead and create a new status. For example, I'm just going to name it new status here and submit it. The new status is submitted for us. If I want to edit it, I can click on this edit button, and I'm going to change it. Click on save, and that status has been updated. I can change the visibility of that status if I want to, and this would allow us to actually remove it from the available statuses list back in part support list view without actually removing this record. I can also open this up and add some reasons for it. For example, reason code 1, test reason. And it will allow me to actually create a reason for it. I can also update the reasons. For example, I can change the code. Alrighty, and now that we've already created the status, if we want to change the status of a participle request, we can also see the new status appearing here with that specific reason that we just created. Next up, we're going to talk about the process settings. This process settings consists of the available templates, the extra fees, and the part support applicability for the return warranty. What we need to do is we need to first select a category of our product. For example, I'm going to select the digital category, the one that was also a parent of that TB001 product that we used to create and to showcase the part support request feature. Next up, after you select a category, you can see two different tabs, a warranty and a return tab. And what it does is it allows you to create and manage different processes for each of the different types of part support request. I'm going to stick to warranty for now. You can first see the templates associated with this category. And as you saw, this was one of the templates that we filled as we created the part support request. You can create new templates if you would like to. You can edit existing templates, and we're going to get into that, or you can remove templates. Mind you that in our system, all of the products, or rather all of the part support requests need to have templates. And that would mean that for all the different categories in our system, we have to introduce or create at least one template in order to proceed with the part support request without any errors. I'm going to create a new template. I'm going to call it test template for testing purposes, rather than this demo template is created. I can edit it. By editing it, I can edit the title of the template, or I can also edit the accepted formats of this template. By default, all the templates have all supported formats as their accepted formats, or but you can limit them if you would like to. You can limit it to only PDFs, to only compressed or zip files, to only video files, or to only image files. You can also make a template required to fill if you would like to. All right. Next up, we have support applicability. By default, for example, this category of digital that we have selected has warranties up to 100 days. You can change it if you would like to. For example, to 200 days. Also, you can additionally target specific products within this category and define custom um, warranty expiration dates for them. For example, I'm going to select that TV that we just, is it TV001? And by default, as soon as I click it, a new record is created with the same day. And now it allows me to actually create a new limitation for it. For example, I'm going to, right. By default, then this is the process to do it. You just need to edit it and then enter a new value and then save it. Next up, we have extra fees section. This was the section that we could see on the product information section of the warranty of particle request creation dialog. And what it does is that you can define a period of days from the day of purchase for this extra fee. For example, the extra fee that we had for restocking fee was a min of 1 day and a max of 10 days, and for a fee of $100. For example, I can say from day 0, rather day 1, I'm gonna do another restocking fee indefinitely of, let's say, $1. You can also change the type to percentage, and what it would do is that it just determines the price of that extra fee based on the percentage of the purchase product. And I can submit it. Right, and in this case, it has an overlap, let's say from day 11. Right. So from day 1 to the 10th day, we have $100, and after that, it's a 1% extra fee associated with it for a restocking title. If you want to add other titles, all you need to do is to click on the title dropdown. The very first entry is add and manage titles. If you do that, a dialog will open up for you, and it will allow you to create new titles, view existing titles, and also edit them if you would like to. It's a pretty straightforward operation. Alrighty, and that covers all you need to know about process settings. Next up, we're gonna go and have a look at the drivers section. This is the very last section that we're gonna cover in this tutorial, and after that, hopefully, we'll be able to have some QA sessions. Okay, so in order to view the drivers list of this platform, all you needed to do is to look at the very third entry of the sidebar. It is drivers. If you click on it, you're navigated to this view. This view lists the existing drivers, allows you to create new drivers, manage and remove existing ones. If I want to add a new driver, all I need to do is to click on this button. A dialog would appear for me and would ask me to enter the information of that driver. This information consists of first name, last name, email, and phone number. For example, I'm going to add myself as a driver. Yeah, BizKey.com and I've added myself as this driver. Okay, if I want to edit or remove a specific driver, all I need to do is to click on this checkbox icon here. For example, this checkbox. A section would appear just beneath it that says this one item is selected, and there are some actions associated with it. If I click on this action, for example, I can delete this operator. And if I want, I can also edit it. If I select more than one, then I wouldn't be able to edit them. I can only delete them. Do that again. If I only select one, then I can also edit them. And if I don't want to, I can remove them. I'm just going to remove this entity that I just added. Okay. Now here we have the test driver. So we can go back into the parsable request that we had just created, and the driver form, I can just put in test here, and it should bring out the driver from the test driver information. As soon as I've added it, now I would be able to put this information in and save it. Okay. And I think that concludes this tutorial for warranty and return. Yet again, we covered the purpose of this feature of parsable requests, how we can view all the existing parsable requests, how we can manage each of these entries, how we can chat with customers or vendors, respectively, and how we can edit a parsable request, print it, and finally manage the processes that are associated with creation of a parsable request or maintaining one. For example, the statuses and the extra fees, the parsable request applicabilities, and the templates. Okay, thank you for joining me.